Hi everyone, this is Christine Josty from Mail Something Pretty, and I wanted to show you this nice subtle masculine card that we made in my club this week, and everyone seemed to love it, so I thought that you might too. And it shows a kind of a cool technique of coloring onto the textured backgrounds. So I just wanted to show you how I made it. So we're going to use the Rustic Retreat stamp set that I really like. I've used it quite a bit. It's definitely going to be a Christmas set or a masculine set, or thinking of you. You know, it's kind of a nice set to have. Okay, so we are going to start with the Woodlands embossing folder and a piece of Whisper White cardstock. So let me get all my things here. And we are going to use just an artist sponge. I liked this better than the daubers. You can use the daubers, but I found that this worked out pretty good. And I'm going to use Sahara sand to do the background. You can certainly change your colors. I just wanted it subtle. I didn't want it too dark, but you certainly could make it darker. I've seen lots on Pinterest. There's tons with this technique on Pinterest, so you can look that up as well. So I'm going to use the embossing folder, and the folders have, I guess, two sides. They're not totally identical because of how the, you know, what's raised and what's recessed. So I'm going to use the side that has the words on it, so that, you know, the label side. Oop. And we're going to, so those are the words. We're just going to take the artist sponge, and you're really probably not going to see too much difference here, but I'm just taking some ink and I am applying it just in a, not really a particular fashion, but I'm just inking the whole thing. You probably don't have to really ink the whole thing because my paper isn't quite that big, but, and then figure out, you know, which kind of branches do you want. So I'm going to put my paper here and close it. And I grab my big shot. And I'm going to use, we're going to use the platform that you do the embossing. This is just a regular folder, so I'm just going to use my regular clear plates. I don't need anything special. And I'm just going to run that through. And then, what you get, you open it up, is you get this nice, just a little coloring, but I think the coolest part is with these birch trees, you get a little bit of the coloration in it, because that's kind of how the birch are. So again, you can kind of play with the colors. A smoky slate would look kind of nice, or if you wanted a little darker, the Sahara sand, but I still wanted to have kind of that snowy feel, so I didn't want it too dark. So that's why I chose Sahara sand. Okay. The next step is we're going to do the deer. So what I did is I did these for my club. I already pre-cut them. And I used these stitch nested labels to do the cutting. And I'll just show you kind of how it went together. So here's the shape, right, of the die. And then what I did is I cut it, and then I cut it again. So I'm really actually not going to use this piece, but I'm going to save them because I might use it for something else. And I'm going to use these two pieces. So the piece for the deer and then the piece for the words. So what we are going to do is, let's see, we're going to use our markers, Stampin' Write markers. And this is the deer stamp. And I'm going to, this one's a little hard to see, but you know, you have his legs here in the grass. So I'm going to color the legs first. Hopefully you can see this. Just right with the Stampin' Write markers. The blends markers do not work this way because they are alcohol based. They will just dry up on your, I think that's where its other leg is. And then I'm just going to color in the rest of it. Okay, so I have the legs. So the Stampin' Write markers is a great technique to do this right onto the stamps. It works with both the photopolymer and the red rubber. I tend to think it works better with the red rubber, The photopolymer just has, it's a different surface, so you really have to, sometimes gonna do it once and then do it again, and then you get a better inking. Okay, so that was Early Espresso, and this is Mossy Meadow. Again, they're both dark, that's why it's kind of, it might look the same, but it shouldn't look the same after we stamp it. Okay. And then the magic to doing it this way, because you can, like with other stamps, you can do all sorts of colors, like a whole bunch of colors, outlining, coloring, and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes the ink will dry, right? Because you put it, the first color might dry. So what you want to do is huff on it. So I'm just going to raise it to my mouth and just kind of huff on it. And what that does is it gets it, re-moistens it. And then we're going to stamp. And I'm stamping, I didn't tell you that this paper is watercolor paper. You can use anything, but I wanted it to have kind of a little bit of texture in there. So there is our deer. Now, I don't know if it's because of the watercolor paper, it might be kind of hard to see, but it doesn't dry right away. So you can either set it aside and don't touch it, or if you want to speed up the process, just take a little scrap paper and put it down and then just press straight down. Don't rub because you'll smudge it. But if you press straight down, you can even see through there, you get a little bit of, so you're picking up some of the wetness. It's still not 100% dry, but it helps. Well, I'm going to do that also with the words. So I smudged this one, so I need to fix it. I did the Thinking of You and Happy Birthday, which are both in the set. I kind of like the Thinking of You. I like the wood look because it kind of goes with my theme of the card. So again, this was the piece that was here. I'm going to just use Early Espresso and stamp. Of course, I didn't get it straight because I'm not putting my, let me do it again, I have one more. I'm going to put my head over it. The camera, sometimes it's hard to see. There. That one's better. I'm going to take that one away. And then I'm going to do the same thing because it's going to be wet. I'm going to take the piece of paper and just blot it. Just straight down. Lift it up so I got extra. I'm going to be really careful because normally I would wait a few minutes. I was just looking for my scissors. And so this is longer than I want. So I'm just going to, using my ribbon scissors, but don't tell anybody. Cut and cut. So that way, so it's just a way of kind of conserving your paper, but you get the same texture of the paper. So now we're just going to put the card together. This is Mossy Meadow. Just, oops. Cut, you know, the regular right in half. And I didn't show you the inside. I just did plain. I didn't put any words because I'm going to wait till I know who it's going to, but I did put a border of the Sahara sand inside, and I think it dresses it up just a little bit. So I'm going to do that as well on this one. So I'll put that on the inside. All right, and then on this piece, I'm going to tape my birch wood onto the Sahara sand, and I did cut the whites in the Sahara sand of the inside and outside of the same size, just so I wouldn't get them mixed up. And then I'm going to take some ribbon. I didn't even see what color this is. I have a feeling it might be crumb cake. Classic weave ribbon. It doesn't really say the color. I think it's crumb cake. And just going to measure and cut. And then I like to put a little snail on both sides, the back, and so then I just kind of tuck it under. Just tuck it and it sticks like that. And now I'll put this on the card. don't know if you notice, I have a little bit thicker border on the sides than I do the top and the bottom. When I was designing the card, I think I just used some scrap paper and I was just playing around with it, and I kind of liked it. So that was intentional. Well, after I discovered from the scrap it was intentional. All right, so this I'm going to be careful with that. It still could smudge. Again, that watercolor takes a little bit of, oh, I need to actually do something else. The watercolor paper takes a little bit to dry. So I have this little piece. It needed something, you know, and again, originally I was going to, because I liked the white look, I was going to use that extra piece here, which I think would look nice. But then I remembered I had this paper. It's actually from the sailing paper, but on the back side is the Mossy Meadow stripes, and I liked it. So we are going to just put a little bit of snail on those two edges. And I cut it with the same die. I didn't cut a full piece because I didn't need a full piece. I'll do that. And then we're going to use dimensionals for this piece. Oops. Uh-oh, they stuck together. We won't use them. I'll just use 3. Peel these off. Oop. Sometimes I have trouble peeling these off because my fingernails are so short. All right, so I'm going to put that, line it up with the border, and I'm not touching the deer, let that alone, and I'm going to carefully flip that over. I'm going to put the dimensionals towards the bottom, just because some of it's going to be going over the ribbon, so I don't want it to go over on the ribbon. It will be bumpy. There we go. And I'm going to line that up with the edge as well. Make sure it's straight. Yep. And there you go. So let me show you one other little mistake, but it actually turned into a good thing. Remember I said it, you know, it takes a little bit to dry. So I smudged this one. But then what I ended up doing is because it was smudged already, I took an aqua pen and I just lightly went over the brown of the deer and colored it in. So I actually kind of like it. So you can do that as well. So you can leave it kind of on the white. That was my original look. Or you can color the deer in, whichever you like. Okay, so that is the card we did for Club, and I wanted to show you. I encourage you to join Club, whether you live near me or if you live far away. I've done it in the to-go as well. I will be putting those details up on my blog shortly. The next club starts in December, so it's the end of October right now. So I did use the Rustic Retreat stamp set with the, left it somewhere, the Woodlands embossing folder, and just 2 colors, just the Early Espresso and the Mossy Meadow. So I hope you like the project. Please comment. Be sure to sign up for notifications for YouTube videos and my website. Visit me at mailsomethingpretty.com, and I hope to see you there. Thanks so much. This is Christine. Bye-bye.